My husband vanished suddenly one day. It was several days later that I discovered he had eloped with my sister. 12 years later, after a long silence, Josh reached out again. "I'm bringing my wife back home. You're in the way. Get out of my parents' house." It seems he doesn't want to see me living with my in-laws in their house 12 years after the allotment. At a time when things have cooled down, he plans to welcome my sister Nova as his new wife. However, they still don't know how the feelings of everyone in the family, including me, have changed over these 12 years. My name is Ivy, and I'm 27 years old. I majored in design during my student days and later joined a web design company. While leading a typical working life, I met Josh, who became my husband at the age of 25. He worked in sales at the company and was very friendly. Due to the nature of his job, I was drawn to his friend Elle last year. We got married after a year of dating. Upon registering our marriage, we decided to live with my parents-in-law. I quit the web design company and started working as a freelance web designer. Between doing the house chores and supporting my husband, I chose to work from home. Initially, work was scarce and my income was unstable. However, recently I've been receiving projects from various sources, securing a sufficient income. I work at my own pace, prioritizing family. We gather around the table with my husband and parents-in-law for meals in the morning and evening, and before bedtime, we spend quality time together as a couple. I was very content with our current life, but gradually my once very kind husband started to change. The trigger was 2 months ago when my income exceeded my previous job salary. Achieving the target made me ecstatic, and I was buzzing with excitement all day. I couldn't wait to tell my husband. He would surely be delighted, or so I thought. As soon as my husband, now Josh, returned home, I rushed to the entrance with a beaming smile and announced, "Josh, listen. Last month's income exceeded my previous company's salary." "Huh, no way. Wasn't your company paying quite well?" But I had been aiming to surpass that for so long. Finally, I achieved my goal. Really? Is that all? What should I have said? Well, congratulations or something. Unusually disgruntled, my husband responded with his sarcastic tone. I couldn't understand why he was in such a bad mood, and I unintentionally pressed for there. "Hey, Josh, are you upset about something? I thought you'd be happy for me too." "Oh, why would I be happy? It's not like my salary increased." "Well, yay, but a wife's joy is her husband's joy, isn't it?" "What's that supposed to mean? I'm not that cheerful." "Don't lump us together, Josh." From that day on, my husband's attitude became increasingly distant. Everyday conversations dwindled, and even the simple greetings like good morning and good night were always initiated by me. Despite being married for just 1 year, our married life seemed far from happy. Even my in-laws, who lived with us, started noticing the strange relationship. But out of consideration or perhaps hesitation, they didn't say anything. Even now, 2 months have passed, and my relationship with my husband remains unchanged. While we still have meals at the same time, conversations are almost non-existent. He changes the TV channel without asking when I'm watching, and he even eats things I bought without permission. Knowing that arguing would only escalate the situation, I remained silent. One day, amidst these continuing circumstances, as I was cleaning the house, my mother-in-law approached me with an anxious expression. "Ivy, are you okay?" She asked. "Huh? What do you mean by okay?" "Well, back when you and my son just got married, you used to go out together a lot. Lately, it seems like that's not happening and there's not much conversation either." Yay, it's only been a year since we got married. It's a bit strange, isn't it? To avoid causing her worry, I forced a smile. However, she seemed to see through it all. With a serious expression, my mother-in-law looked straight at me. "If you don't want to talk, I won't force you. But I'm concerned about you. Lately, you seem a bit empty." "Empty? That's not really. Your father-in-law has noticed it too." Both of us are worried that maybe you're pushing yourself too hard, Mother. Perhaps initially it was my fault for upsetting Josh about the income matter. But on the other hand, I couldn't help but feel a bit lonely that he couldn't share in my success. The concern shown by my in-laws, who noticed the current difficulties, was incredibly heartwarming. I decided to confide in my mother-in-law about the situation. After hearing everything, she apologized with a gentle touch on my back. "I'm sorry to hear that. He isn't a man if he can't even praise someone he loves for their hard work. It's my fault. I just assumed Josh would be happy for my success. It's not something you should worry about. However, if we intervene, it might make things more complicated." "Complicated? That's so. I think you and Josh should discuss this thoroughly on your own." "Can you do that?" "Yes, I'll be fine. Thank you for listening." My mother-in-law smiled gently and said, "It's okay," as she stroked my head. My in-laws, who treated me like their own daughter, were my true saviors. With my mother-in-law's advice, I decided to have a proper conversation with my husband. That night, after my in-laws had gone to bed, I waited for his return. However, there was no sign of him coming back even after several hours. Normally, he would be home by 10 p.m. at the latest, but it was already past 11 p.m. on this day. Why is he so late? There was no response to my messages either. Could there be something wrong? Worried, I called multiple times, but each call only rang and there was no answer. I anxiously waited. After an hour, after 12:30 a.m., he finally returned. I greeted him with a welcome back, but my husband only let out a heavy sigh, wearing an unpleasant expression on his face. "What? Why are you still awake at this hour?" "Well, I wanted to have a proper conversation with you today." "A conversation about what?" "Ever since I talked about my salary, things between us changed, right?" I said it without thinking. "But maybe I hurt your pride, Josh." In that moment, my spine chilled. It was because there, staring at me with a cold face, was my husband. Overwhelmed by fear, I couldn't speak. He casually spoke, seemingly mocking me. "There's really no need to talk with you anymore." Waiting up for my return and trying to have a conversation. "Seriously, it's creepy." Creepy. As a married couple, I just wanted to build a better relationship with you. That stuff is annoying. Annoying? I might have seriously married the wrong person. That's enough, okay? I'm tired from the overtime work. Don't casually bother me when I'm trying to relax at home. My husband walked past me and headed upstairs to his room. I couldn't move from the spot until the sound of him climbing the stairs faded away. Why would he say something like that? I just want a normal married life. Despite my mother-in-law encouraging me, nothing had been resolved yet. Faced with such an attitude, I couldn't gather the courage to bring up another conversation with my husband. Feeling like my entire being had been rejected, my chest tightened. After 2 months, there was no conversation with my husband, and each day passed monotonously. The day he disappeared was one of those ordinary days. Looking around his room, I suddenly felt something was amiss. How was Josh's room ever this tidy? He wasn't exactly known for being neat, yet his room was strangely organized. The closet had nearly no clothes, and there was no suitcase. Finally, I realized that he had left. I hurriedly tried to contact my in-laws, but either their phones were off or they weren't answering. Panicking and unsure of what to do, I received a call from my sister Nova. "No, sis, long time no see." "Nova, I'm sorry, but right now it's not the time for that. Your husband isn't there, right?" "Huh? Why would you say that?" "How do you know?" "When you have an intuition about something unpleasant, it tends to be accurate." Soon enough, she revealed the unbelievable truth. "Well, you know right now I'm with your husband." "Huh? What are you saying?" "At first, it was really just a coincidence. I happened to meet your husband at a pub. We drank together. I heard that things weren't going well between you and him." "Nova, you can't be serious." "I'm dating your husband now. We're going a bit far away to get married, so don't get in the way, okay?" "Far away?" "Don't joke about this. Bring Josh back right now? Sorry, that's impossible. Actually, I've been interested in your husband for a while. He's tall and handsome. So sorry, I'm taking him since he's mine now. The call abruptly ended. No matter how many times I called back, Nova didn't respond. Instead, she sent me a large number of photos. There were dozens of them, including couple shots with my husband and pictures from their dates. Either way, they were not something I wanted to stare at. A few days later, a completed divorce paper arrived from my husband. When I called his company, he had already resigned. At this point, it was no longer a problem I could handle alone. I decided to explain the situation to my own parents and in-laws, seeking their advice. It seems Josh and Nova have eloped. He quit his job without telling me. Apparently, he intends to divorce me. Once I finished speaking, everyone present was left speechless. Amidst the silence, it was my father-in-law who slowly spoke up. Ivy, I'm truly sorry for my foolish son. I don't expect you to forgive him, and rather you shouldn't. Father, I apologize for the harsh words, but I can't forgive your sister, Nova, either. To me, you're like a real daughter. I can't forgive those two who hurt my precious daughter. That's how I truly feel. Upon hearing those words from my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, and my own parents nodded significantly. It was precisely at that moment all of us had a complete change of perspective towards Josh and Nova. May and Lars had originally been considering moving soon since their house was getting old. In light of this incident, they decided to move without informing their son, expressing that they no longer wanted any connection with him. On the other hand, my own parents decided to sever ties with my sister. Even if she were to return, they would treat her as a stranger and would never allow her into the house. A person with such a lack of morality as to steal her sister's husband is no longer our daughter, were my father and mother's opinions. I took this as an opportunity for me to return to my parents' home. As a condition for submitting the divorce papers, I demanded compensation from my husband and sister. In response, he stated, "If that's what it takes for a divorce, I'll pay." Just like that, several thousand of compensation was transferred to my account. With this exchange as the final chapter, I completely severed ties with my husband and Nova. 12 years after the divorce, many things have happened. My in-laws bought a condo, demolished their old house, and sold the land. My reputation as a web designer soared, and my income is incomparable to what it was before. Thanks to that, I regularly go on trips with my parents, enjoying fulfilling days. On this day, busy with work, my phone rang, assuming it was a work-related call. I answered without checking the screen. However, the call brought back unpleasant memories. "Long time no see, Ivy. How have you been?" Then Josh, as expected. "You still remember your ex-husband's voice, right? His tone was as mocking as it used to be. What do you want? It's been 12 years since the divorce. Why contact me now?" I dismissively said, and he chuckled with unpleasant laughter. "Well, you see, you're in the way. So could you leave within 10 minutes? Huh. What are you talking about? We're in financial trouble, so we're heading your way. I'll bring my wife back, so you better leave my parents' house." Apparently, he still believes I live with my in-laws after 12 years. He thinks enough time has passed, asked, and they be accepted. In the background, my sister Nova chimed in, "That's right, get out." These two really know nothing. After 12 years, they think they can be forgiven just like that. The world doesn't work that way. I'll show them hell. Determined, I took a deep breath and delivered my final words to them. "If you want to go back, be my guest. But I'm no longer at your parents' house." "Really? Did you get kicked out by my dad or something?" "Are you an idiot? Your parents' house doesn't exist anymore." "Huh. What are you talking about?" Josh's voice trembled, seeming anxious. At that exact moment, they must have reached where his parents' house used to be. He let out a desperate shout. "What the hell is this?" I continued unforgivingly. "As soon as you both eloped, we decided to cut ties with you. Your parents moved long ago, and my parents disowned the woman with you. In other words, there's no place for you to come back to. This has to be a joke, right? There's no way. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. Neither I nor your parents, nor my own father and mother, think of you as family. There's no value in having someone like you who tramples on people's feelings as part of the family. That's cruel, isn't it? We're family, right? Who trampled on the feelings of that family? Don't ever contact me again. I won't let you interfere in my life any longer. I hung up as I finished speaking, blocking their number. This time I completely severed the last connection. Later, unable to locate my in-laws, they came to visit my parents' home during my absence. However, my father and mother had already disowned Nova. They'd repeatedly asked, "Who are you?" to my crying sister and turned them away at the door. In response, the two resorted to kneeling in front of the entrance. "Please, Mom, Dad, forgive us. We have nowhere else to go." Prompted by my sister's plea, Josh quickly joined in. "Please, our family home is gone. We have nowhere to return." "Enough. You two are no longer family." "That's right, Dad." Called the police. "Wait, hold on, please. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, you have no right to call me father-in-law. Get out." As they were too persistent, my father and mother called the police and reported them for causing a nuisance. Since then, their whereabouts have remained unknown. Apparently, both of them are without a job or a place to stay. Desperately seeking financial help from friends, however, rumors about them have spread, and no one was willing to lend them money. Regardless, staying in their hometown seems nearly impossible for them. They must start anew in an unfamiliar place, facing the hardships they brought upon themselves. Nevertheless, this is entirely a consequence of their actions. Since they sowed the seeds themselves, they should suffer the consequences. Along with my parents, I have no intention of ever seeing them again. Hopefully, they will live with remorse for the sins they've committed.